An AskReddit thread says, what is a true fact that sounds like a conspiracy theory? So today on Decoy Noise, I'm the Decoy. We got Mikel back here again. If you haven't already, subscribe down below, but let's skip all that fluff talk and get right into the thread. So, do you personally know of any facts that just sound like a conspiracy theory? Or
well, the one that I like, Area 59?
Area 59? I've heard of Area 51. Area 59 is the thing?
Maybe it's Area 51. I'm not American.
So in Nigeria, there's Area 59, which is 8 times worse than Area 51. Okay, I dig that, Michael. I'm learning everything. I'm learning something new every day with you over here. So, the top comment by Magdorito says, the dolphin LSD experiment. NASA put a woman in a room that was flooded up to her hips and let a dolphin loose in there to live with her in order to attempt to teach the dolphin to speak English. What? And LSD was later used on the dolphin to see if it had some kind of reaction and if it affected its speech lessons.
I think that's bullshit.
No, I feel like this wouldn't gotten so much traction if it wasn't like a legitimate real story. Like, there were a lot of things. What was like the CIA used LSD and they expose people. Yeah, they we'll probably see this in this. I haven't read through this thread yet, but I imagine that was one of the things where government's crazy. They're doing all these crazy experiments, and later on, some of them turned out to be true. Wow. So BDAV77 said, you forgot the best part where apparently the dolphin was constantly horny, and so the lady had to keep jerking it. Whoa!
Whoa! Okay. That's wrong.
That is wrong. Skyward Spark says it's even better than that because before it got to that, they used to bring in a female dolphin for conjugal visits, like in prison when you're allowed to see your wife still. And then the scientists decided that interacting with another dolphin would negatively impact his ability to learn.
You think it's hard?
I don't have a response. There's no correct response.
I don't know.
Transspatial says it was actually the woman that was in there with the dolphin who decided because it was annoying to keep sending the dolphin down to the females, she would take it upon herself to start relieving him. You know what? We're gonna stop reading that thread. That had a weird rabbit hole.
I don't know how people just have the guts to just type that.
But who really knows about this stuff? Like, I personally go down the rabbit hole that is Wikipedia, where you start reading weird things, like hear about ants, and you hear about ant colonies, and then like what we learned from ant colonies and CIA experience from that ant colony, and then what we did in like this area. Like, you can learn about some really weird stuff, but that type of thing where you know it, you retain it, and you can share it with others. No. I guess I can't judge anybody. I'm here. We're doing this, so
I can't really say anything about that.
Yeah. So Thy Gooch says Johnson & Johnson knew there was asbestos in baby powder for 40 years. Wow.
There was what?
Asbestos, so it's like a very dangerous chemical or compound or whatever you call it. But it's what's in a lot of the insulation of walls, like where they say, oh, there's asbestos on the property. So inside these walls of this kind of old building, there's probably asbestos, which if you just let it be, you don't touch it, you're fine. But if you open up the wall and start going through it and adding additions, or you're like adding an addition, like if you inhale the asbestos, it's a carcinogen, so it could cause cancer for you.
Wow.
If I'm understanding that correctly. So it's like Johnson & Johnson saying, hey, it's in baby powder, and people are using it to freshen up their genitals or whatnot. Them knowing that it's there, they should probably say, hey, look, don't use it for that thing or whatever. But then they're like, you know what, that's gonna cut into our profits. So you know what, let's just keep it in there.
For 40 years, they did that for 40 years.
They did a lot of terrible things over there. I mean, with the what they sent over. Did you ever hear anything about that when they sent the baby formula to Africa?
No.
I believe it was Johnson & Johnson sent the thing over in Africa where it was
Johnson & Johnson's the brand.
Yeah, the brand, like your baby powder, a lot of products like baby oil and stuff like that. There was a situation with baby formula, so they gave it to tribes in Africa, and they said, oh yeah, use this, knowing full well that if you wean the child off of breast milk and onto the baby formula, your body stops producing the breast milk. So they said, hey, let's make all the babies want this expensive baby formula. They stopped breastfeeding, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well now I need more of the baby formula. Hey, well now it's gonna cost you $80, and they're like, hey, we're in poverty. We don't have access to $80. Like, we can't pay for that thing. I'm paraphrasing, but just the idea that there's some shady business happenings over there.
Huh.
So, Talendal says the reason only the orange variety of carrots is widely available is because the Dutch like the color orange. They leveraged their powerful trade networks to make it so.
What?
I mean, yeah, I like that everything else in the thread is about, killing and biochem warfare, and then there's this Dutch thing wanting everyone to eat orange carrots.
What's orange carrots?
Like a carrot. If you think of carrot, what do you think? It's an orange carrot, like, Buddy eating an orange carrot. Like, they just said, hey, look, we like the color orange, so they're gonna eliminate all of the colors of carrots.
Just the orange ones.
Okay, I like that they've kind of busted up the whole like scary reality that the world we live in is for like a story about carrots. I dig that.
All right.
So Meat says the U.S. government forcibly sterilized minorities in the 1970s. 25 to 50% of Native Americans were sterilized between 1970 and 1976. Jesus.
How do you sterilize a human being?
There's a lot of different ways, but if like you don't like, I mean, what is it like? Have you ever heard of someone getting their tubes tied? Or a guy getting a vasectomy? That's how you sterilize a man or a woman. So maybe there was a worse way they did this, but that's just one example of how you could do it, I believe. So some women were told they couldn't receive welfare unless they were sterilized first. Some were told they would no longer receive health care if they refused. Some women were told that the procedure was reversible when it was not. Some women went to the hospital for something like a tonsillectomy and they were given hypersectomies while they were unconscious. It's amazing that this isn't widely known. My gosh, this is really freaking out my cat. So, this happened in Canada on top of the residential schools in the 60s scoop. More terrifying than that, it was recently revealed that doctors in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta are still doing it today. Wow, that is terrifying. Okay, I mean, I feel like we're not intelligent enough to have like a good educated response to that. But this is conspiracy theories, so yeah.
So most of these theories might not be true.
No, they're saying that these are true conspiracy theories. So I imagine there's some sort of facts base behind it. But we're not that type of channel. We're not going to be doing some deep dives when we're going through there. Like the extent of my research is, I will click the user profile and I will just say like, hey, you sound like a liar. Hey, you're talking about your crazy sexcapades, but you play World of Warcraft tens of days a week, so no, I'm saying you're a liar. That's all the research I do.
Alright.
So, Steve Arnold 79 says the Naria testimony that built public support for the IS to go back to Kuwait in the 1992. Okay, I mean, we're not that type of channel. I'm sure this is a very important thing to...
This is like going into more political.
Yeah, and we're just not that. Like, I mean, I'm just going to make a fool out of myself if I try to expand upon that idea. I'd rather talk about orange carrots. So, Battle Match says the CIA ran experiments with LSD at the McGill University in Montreal. They did talk about how they were doing lots of crazy stuff with, like, LSD, how they would, like, drop it in the water supply in... Am I getting it wrong? San Francisco? Wow. It's just like, you just drink it... Huh?
So, sorry. LSD is like illuminating drug?
Hallucinogen, yeah.
Hallucinating.
I guess some people would say it illuminated them. I think if you talk to Joe Rogan talking about those, like, you know, trippy drugs or whatever, he's like, well, I got a better perspective of life. And I personally know someone, you know him too, where he got really into, like, acid and all that stuff. And he had some very riveting thoughts about life and the afterlife and everything, and he said he only got to that conclusion after being heavily involved in LSD and all those other drugs. So when you say it's an illuminating drug, I guess it comes down to who you talk to, and I'm sure people down in the comments below can tell us that it is or it isn't or whatever it may be, but we just don't have enough information on that to make a educated response. So Assorted got gold and silver for this response. So Project Azorian. Project Azorian was a U.S. Central Intelligence Agency project to recover the sunken Soviet submarine K-129 in the Pacific Ocean floor in 1974. Using the purpose-built ship Hughes Glomar Explorer, it cost $800 million or $4 billion today. Wow. Take a giant cargo ship, hack a secret hatch in the bottom of it, big enough to fit a submarine, and rig up an enormous grappling hook, then go submarine fishing. Oh, and the U.S. military operates two more powerful than Hubble telescopes to NASA out of the blue. Key fact, 1 and 2 are not only equipped with the same mirrors as the Hubble, they're also fitted with the secondary mirrors that improve focusing. Yes, the Department of Defense got bored with having two more than advanced and Hubble top secret telescopes on the shelf, so they casually donated them to NASA. Wait.
What? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Why is this a conspiracy theory that the CIA has NASA level? I feel like the government would have NASA level things.
I think they're all connected in some kind of way.
We're gonna skim over that. Years ago, the big light bulb, as I like to call them, decided to purposely turn down the lifespan of light bulbs to sell more than, and the companies who didn't agree were alienated from trading with primary sources with light bulbs. Oh, Edison Electric made an inferior light bulb to try to sell more light bulbs.
So then, this way they could always go bad and you could always replace them. That's the thing about technology. I feel like they could always make it better, but they don't, so they could always produce more.
There is a conspiracy theory I heard from nurses where they said that there's a cure for diabetes type 2, but you know anybody with diabetes?
No.
They gotta buy a lot of insulin. They gotta buy the insulin testers. They gotta buy all sorts of things to keep themselves alive because it's like their body doesn't produce a particular chemical to help them absorb. I'm getting it wrong, but just the idea where it's like, hey, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. If you could just cure the disease, that's gonna put a lot of people out of work. That's gonna put a lot of factories under. So let these people suffer so we can make more money, which is a terrible idea. But just there's just it's conspiracy theories are somewhat rooted in reality. I'm sure there's things, and like just how they say light bulbs are like that. And I know that from like skydiving that altimeters, the thing that tells you when you're skydiving, they say how high you are when you got to pull the parachute.
Yeah.
They can last theoretically forever, but the company is like, you know what? There's only a handful of skydivers and skydiving companies that need these. Unless we put an expiration date on them, we're gonna go out of business. So they say, oh, every 10 years you need a new altimeter. Every 5 years you need a new altimeter. But it's like, no, you don't. But if they can just make that a law and regulate it, then of course they're always going to be in business. So, the egg industry as a whole embarked in a 2-year war on a single vegan mayo brand. Okay, so mayonnaise is made from eggs or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So like there is a vegan mayo brand, like what is it? Probably what's the Miracle Whip? Is that the alternative to mayonnaise?
And it doesn't have eggs in it.
Yeah, so the egg industry was like, no, you're not gonna know.
It's gonna ruin the business.
Nobody's buying eggs; they're just buying mayo. Everybody loves mayo on everything. You love mayo on everything? I love mayo on everything. You put mayo on a hot dog?
No.
Mayo on a hot dog. You're not living yet. You are not living yet. Welcome to America. Put mayo on your hot dog, Michael.
When Cheddar said no.
Yeah, Cheddar said no. We have Jess outside on the phone, and it's, oh my god, it's flipping my cat out. Cheddar is a government agent. He's hearing all these conspiracy theories. He's like, no, stop, no. So for a long time, there were theories that the egg industry as a whole wanted to take down the vegan mayo brand Just Mayo. They felt threatened to the brand since it basically tastes exactly like the real thing, but without the egg that the industry relies on. It was regarded as a conspiracy theory, and there was no way an egg industry would all band together to take down a single vegan mayo brand. Until in 2016, emails were leaked and showed that, they banded together and were trying to take down Just Mayo. Some of the emails showed that some of the representatives were talking with a rep from Whole Foods about how they could easily pull the brand as a whole from the shelves.
Wow.
And as far as conspiracy theories go, it's pretty mild, but still wild because it's just effing eggs.
So they're trying to ruin someone else's business because it's an alternative to what they produce.
Yeah, I think that they said the whole idea why like marijuana was illegal for so long is because it was a alternative to lumber. Like hemp is a weed, and they can just grow it, and it could be used to make paper and all sorts of things that they cut down trees for. So the lumber industry is like, yo, wait, there's a thing that's cheaper, more efficient, and it can just put us out of business. No, it's illegal. You can't do that. It's like one of those things. Like I feel like if in the basketball leagues, if I could say, hey, it's illegal to be over 6 feet tall, I can dominate that league now. So it's like, yeah, that's essentially
Your dream is to be 6 feet tall?
No. My dream is to outlaw guys over 6 feet tall, so I can be like, yo, look, I'm as good as it gets. The Batman's 87 says the U.S. government tested drugs and chemical weapons on its own soldiers and various animals during the Cold War at Edgewood Arsenal facility. It's also where they got bulletproof vests and some vaccines. If you want to ruin your day, look up Bad Trip to Edgewood.
Yeah, I don't want to look that up.
I don't want to look at any of this stuff. This all sounds terrible, except for that thing about eggs. Genuinely interested. So I guess we don't got to go through all that. Those are pretty good stories to kind of leave it as before we come into contact with more worse conspiracy theories. A lot of those conspiracy theories we saw were just kind of fun-loving things or about eggs and orange carrots. But what's a conspiracy theory that you personally believe? Anything about Nigeria that we don't know about conspiracy theories?
I don't think there's anything conspiracy. Well, there's always conspiracy theories within the government, but
yes,
in the country, no.
No, because I don't know much about Nigeria, but I do know that there's a thing where they say that didn't your prime minister, the person that's in charge of your country, disappear for a while, and they brought it back, and they said that it's not him, it's like a clone or something.
The president,
yeah.
Yeah, he's been going to London for treatment, and they said there's a conspiracy theory that said he died, and he came back and was a different person. It's like how does the entire president just leave the country and gone for months? And I don't know. I don't believe it.
I don't know, but I mean, they do say that Kanye came back a clone because, oh yeah, when he went to go visit the president, he came back and his ears are a little bit different. It's not Kanye, man. It's not Kanye.
Maybe he is Kanye.
Okay, I guess the at the end of the day, me and you, we don't really fall into conspiracy theories. We don't really care that much.
We're not really that conspiracy theory nerds. I put it that way.
Wow, you calling them nerds? I can't wait for them to go on the internet. I'm like, oh my god, Michael, I got a conspiracy theory. Michael ain't real. He's just a big fake or whatever. So if you like that and want to see more non-conspiracy theories, make sure you subscribe down below. But you check out those videos over there because it's going to be like this, except a little more serious and less cat noises in the background. My god, he is afraid.